Hello, hello. My name is Sharp Eyes,
I am Crucifix.
and tonight's cast we have
Dyshar, our very own, actually.
our very own Heartland Hitman's very own Dyshar.
No big deal. And we got Dyshar on the line with us tonight. Hello, Dyshar.
Hey guys.
How's it going?
So far so good.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Where are you from, Dyshar?
I was born and raised in Hawaii.
Oh, that's awesome. I have a buddy that was raised on Oahu, so that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Anyways, let's get this party started.
Alright, switching camera view to in-game, and I will be playing this at ×2 speed to get the ball rolling.
Okay, sounds good. Now he is playing against Sharp Eyes, so it should be a pretty good game here. Dyshar, is PVZ one of your harder matches, or do you find it one of your better ones?
I tend to find I beat myself more than I lose to my opponent.
Oh yeah, almost everybody's issue in any matchup, I would say.
I tend to do better against Terran though.
Oh, okay.
I think PvP's my harder one.
I see.
Zerg's about middle.
Okay. So it does look like we're going to see a... Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It is looking like Sharp Eyes is going to be a little douchebag here, try to prevent the it from going down, but it is looking like it's just going to go back to his base. Photon cannon is happening along the gateway. Get out that zealot to complete the wall. Everything should be honky-dory.
Honky-dory indeed.
Indeed. It is looking like there isn't any pro production going on right now. There is now, but even a couple seconds of no production is you never want it. And it is looking like there was a supply block there at 18, and it was there for quite a while. So a supply block this early in the game is really damaging. So just in the future, try to with your wall here, you could probably stick another supply depot down just next to the wall, or just put one in your main base. It's up to you.
Yeah, I was gonna place one, and then I chased his drone around and forgot to replace it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can macro like that distracts me all the time and hurts my macro. So yeah, go ahead.
That totally screwed me up. I didn't realize that. I thought it went down because I had switched to my other view, and then it told me I was supply blocked. I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's really rough. One thing I noticed is that your chrono boost is high as well. So go ahead, Sharp Eyes.
Okay, so I was just gonna mention that the probe supply, the probe production is actually kind of inconsistent. Sometimes you have one, sometimes you have two, and sometimes you have zero. You really want to always have two probes producing at all times. You can actually just queue up maybe 2 or 3 per nexus just to help you out.
Yeah, what I usually do, to keep my SCV production going, is I see that you have your hotkey, your Nexus is hotkeyed to 4, and so what I'll do is I'll always have one SCV. I'll always have one SCV in waiting to be built. So I'll have 2 on each command center being built, at one time. And so that way I'll never miss an SCV, and it allows me to spend any extra mineral I have after that. So on each nexus, I always have 2 probes producing, or at least waiting to be produced. So 1 probe producing and one probe waiting to be produced, and I think that'll really help you to get consistent probe production going. Another suggestion that I have right now is make sure you keep your production, so your gateways, make sure you keep them on a hotkey. Because right now, your only other hotkey besides your Nexus, your Nexi, is a pylon. So that was just a mistake, I'm assuming. And it is looking like we got Twilight Council down, so we'll see some of that play. But you really want all your production on a hotkey so that you can tab through it and produce as often as you need to, because your mineral count is pretty out of control right now. So you really want to be producing out of those. You really want to be producing out of those as often as you possibly can.
Yeah, so I think that you were mentioning earlier that you forgot to build more production.
Yeah.
Just keep in mind, maybe 7 minutes. Just toss up a bunch of gateways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the three gateways that you do have, like you're making some units, but almost none. So I think that is like number one problem right now, is you're not making enough units, even if they're not the units you necessarily really want to be making. So maybe you're waiting for your robotics facility to go down so you can start your colossi build, your colossi production, stuff like that. Or if you build a robotics bay after that. But all I was saying is, even if they're not necessarily the units you want to be building, it's better to build something than nothing. So if you have extra mineral, if you have extra gas, just throw down some stalkers if you have the minerals to do so.
Because it should be at least 3 or 4 buildings per Nexus, right? To produce units from?
Right, 3 or 4 production buildings. So
Right.
that doesn't count your cybernetics core or anything like that. But yeah, for sure. You could support 3 gateways just with one Nexus. So or 4 gateways just with one Nexus. So if you're going to go for an early expansion build like this, you have to take into account the extra cost of the Dark Templars and stuff like that. But you should at least be sitting on 6 or 7 gateways, depending on what your unit composition is going to be.
Yeah, and also, a lot of people say that 4 gateways is the optimal configuration, but for people in the lower leagues, you kind of want to make 5 gateways, since macro isn't going to be perfect. So you
Right.
really kind of want to have the extra leeway.
Right. So 4 gateways would only be enough if you were producing from them as often as they possibly could, support it. And so because, the macro is going to slip a little bit, it's always better to have more production than less. You always want to be feeling like you're mineral starved. That's kind of how you want to feel, and the mineral and or gas starved. So it's actually kind of weird, because once you start using your minerals as much as you're supposed to, it feels strange to not have enough. But that's really how you should feel. So if you find yourself in a situation, okay, this game's just if you find yourself in a situation where you have extra mineral and you don't feel like you want to expand or anything like that, there's nothing wrong with putting down more gateways, even if you think you already have enough per Nexus, because it's always better to have more than less. That being said, before you go throwing down more gateways all over the place, make sure you're producing out of the ones that you already have. So like I was saying before, it's really helpful to me to have my production on a hotkey. So like my command centers are on 3, and then my production's on 4. And so that way I can go command center, probes, production, make all my units, and then you can just tab through your production buildings if they're on the same hotkey. So you could do gateways, and then you could do robotics bay, and then you could do Dark Templar Shrine or something like that. And you can just tab through those to produce the different units, and that's really helpful, I would say.
All right, let's go on to the next matchup, probably PvP or PvT.
Okay. Let me get out of this replay.
Indeed.
Indeed.
So when I have, let's say, 3 robotics things on one tab,
Okay.
I can hit tab to switch to each robotics factory.
So if you have the same buildings on one tab, you don't even have to hit tab. It'll just so okay. So say you have 3 gateways on the same tab, you can just hit whatever your I don't know what the shortcut key is for a zealot.
ZZS.
Z. Yeah, so you could just hit. So pretend you have 3 gateways you could just hit ZZS and it would build 2 zealots and a stalker from those 3 gateways. And you don't even have to tab through them. If they're different buildings on the same hotkey, say you have a gateway and a robotics bay on the same hotkey, you can hit S to build a stalker and then tab, and the shortcut key is for a colossi.
What about when you're controlling units? Let's say I have an army and I have 3 Templars. I have them on a separate hotkey. Do I tab through the High Templars on that hotkey?
You don't have to
Does it
tab.
work the same?
You don't have to tab through the High Templars to do storms. All you have to do is hold Shift. So if you want to do more than one storm with High Templars on the same hotkey, just hold Shift while you have Storm activated, and that you can do all 3 storms with 3 clicks.
Oh, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So the more you know. That's actually a really good tip, because a lot of people, because like Shift is actually way more powerful than a lot of people give it credit for. Like you can do so much with Shift. Like you know, whether it's Terran, you can do a whole drop pattern just with using your Shift button and never think about it again. Like, and then one thing also that you might want to think about. I don't know how this could apply to Protoss. So say for example, so like. I'm trying to think. But the way I think of it is, you know, playing Terran, I can have a tank move and then I'll press Shift and then E, and then the tank will move over there and then go into siege mode, just based on that Shift command. And so I'm assuming, you know, there's plenty of things like that that Protoss could do. Maybe you could do like a Shift cloak or like a Shift, I don't even know. But all I'm saying is you can shift abilities. So you can tell something to move over here, and then once you're over there, activate your ability, whether it be cloak or siege mode or whatever. So that's just, you know, that's another thing you can do.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's do this.
Alright, we're waiting on Dyshar to exit the replay.
Oh, I see. So you go ahead and just get on out of there if you're done. Oh, sweet. I'm trying to think of how Protoss could use that, but I
use it for my drones. Like I'll build a bunch of buildings and then I'll shift to a mineral line and it'll go.
Oh, right.
That's the simplest way that I use it.
Yeah. Like widow mines, for example, I didn't know that I could have them move and then shift to bury themselves without me having to do it myself. And so like that's kind of the thing. That's like an example. Now, the one thing you could do if you wanted to try to practice your macro, because like I can already say that that's like by far what you need to work on the most, like more than anything, is you could try doing one base play. So not cheesing, like you don't have to do like a 4-gate or anything, but just not a fast expansion. So instead of doing a forge fast expand or a 1-gate fast expand, do like a 3-gate cyber, like after you build 3 gateways and a cybernetics core, then you expand. So just maybe like a normal expansion time instead of a fast expansion time, and then that'll make it a lot easier to spend the minerals you're getting, instead of feeling like you're just flooded with minerals. And so because when you fast expand, you know, it is good for your economy, but a lot of times it's hard to spend all that extra cash, and a normal expansion time can also make you a lot safer in the early game. And it is looking like you're going for something like that this game. You're not going for the fast expansion again, which is good. But yeah, it can make you safer in the early game, because if you have 3 gateways before your expansion, then you're able to produce a lot more army units a lot quicker.
Yeah, usually in Protoss v Protoss, if you toss out your Nexus early, then you pretty much lost the game versus an early attack. But versus a lot of Zerg and Terran, the Protoss usually wants to expand a little bit earlier for that advantage economically. But
Right.
If Dyshar has problems using all that extra mineral, then, you know, like you said,
Yeah, exactly.
a 1-base into expansion could be a lot better.
I actually really like your build here, a lot more than last game. I think that you're keeping your mineral count a lot lower, is going to allow you to stay on a much more even ground with your opponent. And I also let's see. I don't know if there's going to be. Yeah, see this I like a lot. You build up a nice strong early force, and then you use that to defend yourself while you secure your natural expansion. This I'm liking a lot. As long as your probe production stays consistent, which I feel like it has been well, and I like that you're also getting upgrades. Yeah, this is pretty good. The only thing I would recommend. Oh, and he does. Okay, it looks like he's doing some sort of. Let's look. Yeah, he did a 4K. So, um, but looking at the length of the game, I think you might end up pulling this off. It is an all-stalker 4K. Let's see what happens here.
He pulls back and rebuilds a little.
Oh, I see.
He does end up getting me, but
So I'm gonna pull back just a little bit here. So the most important part of the mothership core is the photon overcharge. Um, so I think that if you would have done that on the Nexus, you would have taken down quite a bit of stalkers right here.
Yeah, if you had thrown in the photon overcharge, he probably still would have taken your Nexus, but he would have lost almost all of his stalkers. So yeah, like that's what it's for. That's that's the whole reason that they have the photon overcharge is so that you can defend against early pressure like this. So that would have been like the best possible thing you could have done there.
I realized that right as my ship blew up.
Oh, okay.
That's when I remembered.
You never
And
really
this
want to
guy's
set.
building
Sorry, go ahead.
energy. He's building energy, so I couldn't turn it on yet.
Oh, really? Okay, you didn't have
Yeah.
the energy for it. Oh, this guy is. Okay, so.
On the new mothership, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like you never want to send your mothership or in by itself ever. Like, there's no reason to it for it against units that can shoot up. If there's more than one of them, like it's just gonna die. So you might as well just keep it in your base. Against that many stalkers, it wasn't even gonna kill one. So yeah, just always the mothership core is super important. So just be as careful with it as you can. The only difference maybe I would have made, I don't know, I liked your build order. I thought it was good. Maybe one more gateway before you expanded instead of two. You could have done three to be extra safe versus an expansion like that. Also expanding, not expanding, sorry, just a little scouting wouldn't have hurt, just enough to be able to see.
I normally wait for
Just
my,
enough to be able to see if there's
observers
to scout.
that.
Yeah.
And I'll shift click them around the board so that I don't control my probe and do all that stuff and ignore my macro.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree that like scouting can be really can like distract you and then hurt your macro. Like what I recommend is just maybe against Protoss, like because the 4-gate is so popular, like you could do the exact same thing just with a probe. Just like take one probe, shift click it around your opponent's mineral line, and then just go back to macro. Like don't even worry about if it dies or not. It doesn't matter. Just take one probe, shift click it around your enemy's mineral line, and then just keep macroing. I like how you switched to Zealots here. But yeah, what I would have recommended is to go down there to see what he had before you decided to commit your entire army, because he had much more than you did when you sent the zealots down there. And once you got the surround, I wouldn't be surprised if you ended up not killing anything. So and then I do like the switch to Dark Templar though. That's probably the best thing you could have done here, because he's just gonna have to pull back. Yep. Yeah, that definitely was it. Like the only difference is I wish he would have not sent your army down first. Like scout, oh he has too much. I'm gonna pull back into my main base. Send the Dark Templars down there. Make sure drive them away. Chase them as long as I can. Because right now you're doing really good damage. I'm actually not sure. Oh, I think you probably right-clicked on one of them and then stopped paying attention because you went back to macro.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that if you didn't sacrifice all of your zealots, you could have like snuck your Dark Templars in with the zealots to make him think that, oh, this is just a bunch of zealots, and then just massacre
mhm.
him with the Dark Templars.
Yeah, by the time you would have noticed, like, even all your zealots died at that point, you would have ended up killing almost his entire army. Like I think by the time he realized what was going on, he would have like it would have been almost too late. But now you find yourself in a position where like um, he's very far ahead of you because he's had the expansion. Like he killed your expansion and then immediately his own. Um, and so and then the fact that you have to long distance mine from your natural because you don't have a main. Um, is pretty bad. But at the same time, you don't really have the resources to build another Nexus. Um, but yeah, I would just say right here, maybe chrono boosting out probes while you waited to get the money to build another Nexus would have been probably like a pretty good idea because when you long distance mine, like so when you're long distance, it's not the same rule. It's not 24 anymore. It's like double or triple. Like because like to get even the same, even close to the same amount of minerals long distance mining, you need a lot more. Um, yeah, I think he's just gonna come in here at this point. But yeah, yeah, that wasn't well. What are your like thoughts on that game specifically, Sharp Eyes? Like what could have you done like better?
Um, I thought that his engage early on kind of costed him the game. Here, let me rewind back a little bit.
That zealot thing I did,
Um, no,
or
the,
when
the
I sacrificed that mothership core.
actually even before that actually. Here. Okay, so right here, he ambushed you right here, and then notice that only half of your army was fighting him,
Mm,
and then so the time that it took for these guys to come to help, your main force was already wiped out.
yeah.
So I think that if you would have pulled back right here or engaged with your entire army at once, you would have won this engagement.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, it's easy to not notice that it's happening until it's too late. Like, what probably happened is you were macroing in your main base, and then all of a sudden you hear the announcement that your units are under attack, and then you scrolled over to it, and by that time, half your army was already almost dead. Was probably what happened. But like, what you can do to like make it so even if you don't notice right away, like it's still okay, is when you have your guys set over here, pre-position them in a good way. Like so, kind of get like an arc, like pre-position them in an arc where if one gets pulled, they'll all get pulled. So like maybe like a straight line to where your pylon is, to make like a sort of wall right where your pylon is with units, and so just basically so they're not just randomly like skewed in front of your natural because then something like this could happen. So what you can do is just take a couple seconds to pre-position your zealots in front of your stalkers in like a nice little arrangement and then go back to macro.
Yeah, like right here, the mothership core could have done a time warp on these stalkers, retreated back here to the next side or the nexus, and then warped in a few more units. And then if you decided to engage, well, you have your photon overcharge,
Mm-hmm.
and at this point you have one base over him, and you could have transferred half of these probes over there, and you would have easily had this match in the bag.
Yeah, you would have been at a really good advantage at that point. If you're able, yeah, because once you hold off his four gate, which honestly you had the units for, it just like the way the engagement happened, it ended up not working out. But like if you'd been able to hold that off and like you had your photon overcharge and then uh, you made a couple more gates, you would have been in a really good spot. So it was just just different decisions can like make and break the game. Like small decisions like forgetting about the photon overcharge and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Right, on to the next replay.
Oh, okay.
This one looks like a PVT, one of Crucifix's favorite matchups.
I do like PVT a lot.
Now, Crucifix, what do you like most about PVT?
Well, like Zerg has like a dedicated unit against like bio. Well, I mean, they have the Baneling, which they can access really early, but Protoss's dedicated unit against mass bio is the Colossi, which you really can't get until at least 10 minutes. And so, like, I like to do early pressure with bio, and even if you do, it doesn't matter when you come in against a Zerg, they can have Banelings ready whenever they want to, almost. So, like, I feel like Protoss, at least early game, is a little more vulnerable to bio than Zerg or Terran is, because Terran can have a tank at like 5 minutes if they want to. So like I don't know. I guess that's just the reason I like playing Protoss.
Yep, Protoss is very vulnerable early game, but picks up later on.
Yeah, they like late game Protoss like rules for sure. One thing you can even do if you'd like, in that situation last game, is you can keep your units at the top of your ramp in your main base, and if the enemy pushes with a 4-gate or something like that into your natural, you can turn on your photon overcharge and then move your army down. And so you may lose a few probes, but it doesn't matter because you're already a base ahead. And that way you can guarantee that your whole army is going to attack at once. And you have the photon overcharge in case, like that. And the photon overcharge by itself is pretty good. So you could kind of keep your army in your main, and then just have your mothership core ready to turn that photon overcharge on, and then that way, you have a solid way of making sure that you're defending both your natural and your main at the same time.
Yep.
If like that's something you're interested in.
So it looks like Protoss player is going for a 1-gate pass expand. Crucifix, what do you think of this build?
And it's super popular versus Terran. It's like the de facto build. Like basically, it's safe, solid. It's good.
Safe, solid, and good.
I mean, we could run into an issue again where there's not. We could run into an issue again where it's hard for our Protoss to spend all the minerals he's getting, because you already have 2 bases down. It is looking like you are adding production though. You have 5. I'm hoping to see maybe 2 more gateways go down at some point, depending on how heavy you go into like late tier 2 and tier 3 units. But we'll see what happens. Pro production is still a little spotty, so that's just something you kind of want to work on. Um, I mean, you always remember to go back to it eventually, but like right now, like you're not producing any probes on your natural, and you haven't been for quite a while. So just something to remember. And it's looking like you forgot to put your natural nexus on your hotkey. I don't know how often you actually use your hotkeys. So that might be one reason. But hotkeys are super, super important. So just practice until you're able to use them every game. It's looking like the Terran is doing a like double upgrade build, or at least he probably meant to, but then forgot to get upgrades. But yeah, he did like a 1 barracks fast expand or something. I wasn't actually paying too much attention, and now he's gonna do mass bio. Looks like maybe just Marine Marauder Widowmaut. Widowmine probably. It's actually kind of you don't see too much like I don't know. Widowmines are pretty good. They're a lot better versus Terran and Zerg than they are against Protoss, but whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, I noticed that the Protoss player's macro is pretty good this game, but he could have saturated his natural a lot quicker if he had resumed pro production.
Yeah, I'd say if you do lose this game, like the biggest issue was pro protection. I mean, you do still have like more minerals. Like do still have too many minerals. So like like the fact like the fact that you don't have full saturation and you still have like about 1,000 just means that like you're not making enough military units. So just yeah, I would just recommend putting those gates on a hotkey and then using that shift command to make as many zealots or stalkers as you'd like.
Yeah, when I first started playing StarCraft 2 a few years back, I actually didn't know that I was supposed to constantly be making units from my gateway. I was like, well, nothing's going on, so I'm just gonna just hang out for a little bit. But no, like apparently you're always supposed to be creating units no matter what.
Yeah. And like I do like that you took a third base, um, but like I feel like a lot of times people will take bases just because like they like it's just like you're spending your minerals really well right now. You're quite low. You're doing a lot better job than the Terran is, but like up to that point, I felt like there was like um, like you only have 13 probes on your main and 13 on your natural. So like building a third, you really don't need to build a third until you're at least fully saturated on the two bases that you have, and then also producing out of all of your production. So if you're fully saturated and you're making units out of all your production and you have enough production, that's when you really want to expand.
The only reason why I expanded was to spend minerals.
Oh, yeah, I mean that's not a bad idea either. Like as long as that's like being a priority of yours, like you're already like, you're already like on your way, like out of bronze. Like if like because you really want to spend your minerals however you can. And expanding isn't the worst way to do it. It's better that you chose to spend those minerals to do something than to just, forget about them. But also, if you find yourself with too many minerals, just make sure you're producing military units and probes, and then after you do those two things, if you still have a bunch, yeah, go ahead and just expand. There's no reason not to, but make sure that you're producing all the units you can in the meantime.
So right here on this map specifically, you really want to be taking down these rocks as soon as possible to make it a lot harder for your opponent to just run in and kill your third.
You can you kill these rocks, and it makes a wall there, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, if you kill those rocks, it'll make a wall into your third, so they can't get in that way.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like I didn't know it either until I saw a streamer do it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll do that. Yeah, like these widow mines. You basically like observers are pretty important against Terran. I don't know if you have one or not, but like if you could find yourself in a position where he kills a good number of zealots. So you just want to be careful about that. Or at least like if you don't want to build observers, you don't have to, but at least send before you move your army out, like before you do any big movement of army movement, make sure you send like one unit out to test for widow mines, because like
You'll see me start and then realize they're there and back up,
oh, okay, good.
and then bring an observer in and go for it. But I think it's after he pushes.
Oh, I see. Now this I think is a really bad push from him. I think you're gonna okay, yeah. Yeah, so right now I feel like okay, so you're in a position right now where you could win the game. If you push him, because so basically when you win a big giant engagement like that, and I don't mean barely win, I mean like just what just happened, you crushed his army. There was like no comparison at all, because he tried to push up your ramp into 4 colossi with stalkers like behind them. So when you do a crushing victory like that to a good number of units, you can assume that that was an all-in push. He was expecting to at least kill your army as well. So when you do so the first reaction that you should have to a crushing victory. So yeah, and it's looking like this is when you pull back. So I feel like what's probably going to happen here is now that you've realized those widow mines are there, it's going to keep you inside your base until you can do something about the widow mines, and that's actually very good for him because it's going to allow him to build back up. But in any case, what I was saying is, as soon as you get a crushing victory, move out and do damage to him. Because if you had moved out, if you had moved out just now, or after you beat his army, you would have won the game no problem. Because you waited, and then ran into his widow mines and waited more, then I feel like he might be able to find himself in a position where he can come back. See, like and then again, like you just demolished his army. So like if he does win this game, it's only because you were impatient. It's only because you waited too long. But I don't see him winning. I see I guess I don't know what's gonna happen, but you should win. Okay, good. You won. But yeah, like you did a good job. I thought you did a lot better job building your units than you did in previous games. Like, even though your military production wasn't exactly where it should have been, it was better than it had been in other games. And so like because he chose to do a full-on bio attack against like your unit composition, which was like perfectly suited for that, like that's the reason he lost so badly. And yeah, the only big suggestion I had for that game is make sure you're producing out of all of your gateways, and then when you experience a crushing victory, no matter who you're playing, always in response move out. You don't have to take your entire army if you don't want to, but take a good force and move into their base. Sharp Eyes, do you have a suggestion? Any suggestions or anything?
Well, a lot of information was disseminated to Dyshar.
Nice.
Dyshar, would you want to view a Diamond Protoss player in action?
What do you mean? Sure, I'll watch another game.
Alright. So I played a game versus this Protoss a few hours ago, and it was quite an epic match. And I think that if you try to emulate this Protoss's play, I think you'll go very far in your PvZ.
Yeah, and I think you'll find that, like, the Diamond Protoss, like, I guarantee you that we're going to be able to find mistakes in his play if we wanted to. I think it's actually kind of funny, like, when you look at it on the outside, like, how the difference between a Diamond Protoss player and, like, a Protoss player in the lower leagues, like, I bet you, like, his macro is pretty decent, and his production is pretty good, but you can still find all sorts of mistakes. So, like, if you just fix, like, some key elements of your gameplay, like if you really work hard on your macro, like look, like even just right there, he didn't make a probe for about 2 seconds, and you know, that's at the diamond level, and so I think you'll find if you just work on the key elements of your gameplay, like I think you'd be really impressed with how fast you like excel like through the ladder.
Yeah, there was a few games where I worked and did better at this at the production buildings and spending my money.
Right.
And I didn't get rolled like I often do.
Right. Yeah. No, I like until at least platinum, just like straight up macro will win you like any game. Like if like unless, you know, sometimes because of cheeses and stuff like that, it's not entirely true, but if you can macro better than your opponent, you'll almost win all the time, depending on how the game goes. But what I did back in the day when I was in bronze is I found a build order that I liked. It was just a one barracks fast expand. It was when I was first learning, and I started up a custom game against a computer, and then I did it again and again and again and again until I could do it perfectly for the first 10 minutes, because the first 10 minutes are extremely important. And every time I would, and then as soon as I was done, I would watch the replay and figure out where I messed up, and then restart there, because you can retake over a replay as yourself when you're watching it against the computer, and so it really helps to it really helped me out my build order perfect to have more than my opponent did at a certain time, because that way you know that your build is at least going to be good for the first 10 minutes, and then after that, you can just rely on whatever's happening in the game, your reactionary play. So it's just like one strategy you can do to practice. And you see here, like, Sharp Eyes has a bigger army. Sharp Eyes has a bigger army than the Protoss does. This many Hydras will kill this many Stalkers and Sentries if they're allowed to fight them in the open field. But because of the way he did his Forge Fast expand, where he had his Zealot there on hold position, that's super important, is to keep your Zealot on hold position in that gap. Because if it's not, then it doesn't form a wall. It'll just get pulled out, and then the wall will be open. And so, like, the combination of the use of the Sentry and the Zealot wall, the early Colossi, is really the only thing that's saving him right now. Because if Sharp Eyes was allowed to move into his base, he would have won, like right there. Sharp Eyes playing his normal greedy self.
So notice now that after the Protoss player has saturated both his main and his natural, and has a pretty good army, he'll take his third base.
Yeah, he probably could have. I don't know when I actually didn't see exactly when he built it, but yeah, you always want to be building your third base just about right after you get like the 16th on your second nexus. So see, like, I actually think that the Protoss player could increase his production here. He does have 2 robotics facilities, so that you can take that into consideration. But like, his minerals are actually kind of high right now, and so even at this level, he's having a little bit of a hard time spending all the minerals. And to try to spend his minerals, like, look at all these photon cannons he's throwing down. And the reason he's doing that is because he's looked at his mineral account, and he's like, well, I got to spend it on something, and so I might as well secure my fourth base. And besides, fourths are really hard to defend anyways. So.
Yeah, so pretty much mid game, if you find that you have a lot of minerals and you don't have enough production structures, just toss up a couple pylons and then toss up a bunch of photon cannons in front of them.
Yeah, just spend those minerals however you can. Throw down your extra gateways, but while those are building, throw down some photon cannons. No reason not to. So let's see this. The corruptor numbers are pretty good here. I think all these Colossi are gonna die, but I think all of Sharp Eyes' ground units are gonna die too. It depends if he has observers. I don't think he did. It's a pretty scary army.
Yeah,
I hate Swarm Host so bad.
So basically, the Protoss player knew when to retreat and when to fight, and this is really crucial and hard to gauge as a lower league player. So you pretty much just have to master those games to figure out when's the optimal time to run from a fight.
Yeah, you don't want to overcommit yourself into a battle. I feel like a lot of times you'll like players will commit themselves into a conflict, and then just no matter what happens, stick it out to the end. And if you retreat back into your base where it's safe, you could find that you can build an army a lot faster that can respond to future aggression.
So I've noticed that the Protoss player knows that he's in kind of a defensive position right now, since he just lost that major battle, and to balance it out, he built a warp prism and warped in some zealots to force me to respond to it.
Right. Yeah, it's a really good rule to remember that, it doesn't even have to be a ton of pressure, but when an enemy is putting pressure on your base, the best way to get him to stop is to put pressure on his base however you can.
He should have used DTs.
Yeah. I think he didn't want to go up the tech. Well, he would have only had to build one building. Yeah, I think DTs probably would have been better.
He has it.
Oh, he already has it?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably would have been good. Maybe it was a economy decision, or it just depends, I guess. I don't know.
I find that they're not as good against Zerg as they are against Terran.
Oh yeah, for sure, because of how easy it is to get an overseer.
Yeah. And, it's so much sooner. The Terrans pretty much have to scan.
Yeah,
And,
which hurts their economy anyways.
right, and you can get out of the circle and they can't see you anymore.
Right, yeah, right, exactly. Especially early on when they only have one command center, DTs are very good against Terran because they have to wait a long time before their next scan is available. So, yeah, against Terran, DTs are extremely annoying. Also, Storm is like for example, for a Zerg to use infestors, it's actually kind of for a Zerg to use infestors is actually kind of difficult, and for Terran to use their ghosts, it's also kind of difficult just because of the way it works. But for Protoss, Storm is actually very easy to use. You just have to hotkey them. You just have to hotkey your High Templar, and then it's just a circle. So, I feel like even in the lower leagues, using Storm can put you at a really big advantage, and you could probably win engagements that way, which you would otherwise lose. So that's one thing you could consider is to incorporate a few High Templar into your army composition.
So I honestly think that if the Protoss's macro had been a little bit better, he would have just owned me really hard. But since he has so much mineral, just lying around, he's having a tough time.
Yeah, and I'm really surprised he's so pansy about these swarm hosts. I mean, he has an observer. He can kill these so quickly. Okay, he finally does. But he really let those kind of. I mean, a lot of swarm hosts is a really big deal. If you have 8 swarm hosts coming at you, it can kill a majority of your army. But 4 swarm hosts against this size of an army, I'm very surprised he let that impact him so much there. Even after he had an observer, he backed out a couple times. I think he just doesn't want to take damage from those. He didn't want to take damage from those locusts, but I feel like that hurt him really bad. Just in general, how much time it gave you to just build up your army and stuff like that. So the Zerglings did die almost immediately. Man, these are some really big battles here. I'm surprised you didn't go. Dang it! What do Corruptors turn into?
Broodlords.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't go Broodlords just because of how many Corruptors you had. But I guess you just wanted to maintain defense against those Colossi in case you built more.
I think that it was an oversight that I did not grow broodlords actually.
Oh, okay. But yeah, at this point, I think you're going to get him in a really good position. His micro isn't too bad, though. But yeah, I don't know. Like once Ultralisks are out, it's hard to win once Ultralisks are out. They're just a really good unit. But Dark Templars are a good way to do it.
Well, I saw that he had a unit of like 5 or 6 zealots, and they rolled right by this 6th expansion that his DTs just cleaned up.
Oh,
And if he
really?
would have saw that, he could have took care of it.
Mm.
But he took like 6 zealots and ran right by it.
This is actually a pretty interesting position right here. Yeah, no, I agree with you that he kind of did an oversight there. And that's something that looking at your mini map more can help because, even if you don't see it while your zealot's walking by, like it's still going to be highlighted there for you. But we're actually in a pretty interesting position because the Protoss player took down those 2 bases. The Zerg's only mining off of 1 base right now, but so is the Protoss player. And I think there's probably actually the Protoss player is mining off of 2. And so the Protoss player could find himself in an advantageous position if he was able to keep the Zerg player at this many bases. But he has to kill this current army. And right now he's kind of just letting these swarm hosts walk all over him. Like right now would have been a really good time for him to go in with his observers, realize that these swarm hosts are undefended, and just go and roll over these swarm hosts right here. If he had pushed into these and stopped being so afraid of them and allowing it to just kill his army, I mean, I wonder how many kills each of these has. Like, each of these has at least 2 kills. A couple of them have 3. So, there's 7 swarm hosts here. So it's at least 18 kills. And just more and more and more, for free. And so I feel like this Protoss player is just so afraid of these swarm hosts, just refuses to do anything about them. And now he finds himself in a position where his army is so much smaller than it was before. But in any case, like the main things that like we wanted to point out from this like game were just the fact that even when he had a high mineral count, at least he just threw down the photon cannons. It's better, it's just always that mentality of it's better to spend minerals than to not. So just like one thing you can do to help spend minerals is get yourself into like a macro pattern. So get a couple hotkeys going, and then inside that pattern put looking at your mineral count as part of it. And so like you could hit 4 and make probes, then you could hit 5 and make units, and then you could look up at your mineral count, and then you could do that again and again. And whenever you have extra mineral, that's a good time to increase production or expand. But
This
Yeah,
guy is
and
just pussyfooting around that army.
yeah, I think like this guy's way passive, like way passive.
yeah, and if you notice, it's all about expanding, expanding, expanding. Since you really want to gun for the late game in PvZ, since Zerg's actually really weak compared to Protoss late game like this.
So like all Sharp Eyes did here was make sure that the Protoss couldn't mine. See, he has these 2 overlords up here, and he just every time he transfers probes, look, he's just gonna kill all of them. Might even kill the base. This is probably where the game's gonna end. And so all he did, like he didn't even have to push in. All he did was just strangle the Protoss to no income. And at this point, he has 3 probes mining at one time. Like that's all he has. Now he's done. And so at this point, the Protoss player just can't make anything else. So it's going to go down to one final battle. Protoss is going to lose the battle, and then the game's going to be over. Yeah, like pretty sure with Zerglings alone, the game could be won at this point. Yep.
Well, see, and that's the thing that's funky. These 2 overseers, he had a mothership core right there. He should have killed them. And they've been sitting there for over 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. The mothership, all he had to do was send a couple stalkers over there, to deny the scouting that Sharp Eyes was able to do. But just oversights. That's what I wanted. That's kind of what we wanted to point out, that even at the diamond level, you see so many of these big mistakes that these players are making, and so you think to yourself, what's the difference between them and me? Like if they're diamond, then why then and they're making mistakes like that, then really the only separation between the two players, it's not a master of strategy. He's not like a master of strategy or anything, like micro expert to the max. It's just his macro. It's all macro. His macro is good enough to be in the diamond level, and so yeah, just I mean, it's the same with me. Just as soon as I practice my macro and I get it down, better and better. I'm just gonna keep going through the ladder, and it's true for any player. It's true for any player.
Yep. All right. So that concludes the replays. Crucifix, let's go ahead and go over 10 things that Dyshar can work on.
I think making sure your Chrono Boost is being used efficiently could help you a lot throughout your games.
Okay. Point number 1. Point number 2. Keep in mind the 7-minute mark is the time slot where you'll want to up your production.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Number 3, have some idea of what the enemy is doing. You don't have to, scout all the time or anything. But I think just a shift click with a probe through their mineral line and back would help a lot, just to know what buildings he had or didn't have.
Number 4, don't get supply blocked in the early parts of the game. It's okay to get supply blocked later, but if you get supply blocked at around 18 or so, then that's very, very harmful to your everything.
Yeah, super huge. Anything before like 45, and you're in a pretty bad spot. Number 5, just constant pro production. Put that above everything else. Well, not maybe above everything else, but it's extremely important. Put those nexi on a hotkey, and then just hit your hotkey, and then hit PP or whatever the pro production hotkey is. And that's just another way to use those hotkeys. So you could just hit the button twice or 4 times, and they'll be ready to go.
Number 6, always expand after both your main base and your natural is fully saturated. Very, very important.
Mm-hmm. And number 7, make sure you're trying to fully saturate both your bases at once. If you are doing a fast expand build or even a normal expansion, once your main hits around 16 to 18 probes, rally your newly made probes over to your natural expansion, because 16 is the optimum number, but sometimes it's good to keep a couple extra at your main for building purposes.
Yep. What number are we on?
2, 4, 6, 7. Oh, we got 8 now.
Okay, 8.
Number 8. When in doubt, Dark Templars. They're your best friend.
Yeah,
I love DTs, man.
Yeah, it's like that's the rule. Like if go Dark Templar. Like I can't tell you how many times I've been extremely ahead against Protoss, and then all of a sudden, like the Dark Templar just threw me for a loop. Especially as Terran, what am I gonna get, a Raven? Like they're really hard to deal with.
Yeah. So many games where I'm dead even. I get kind of cocky and don't toss up detection, and then all of a sudden the game's even, and then Dark Templars just kill my expo, and I'm like, well,
yeah,
that sucks.
Yeah, that sucks really bad. Yeah, DTs are great.
When I find I'm behind, I'll build one of those warp prisms and drop a few in there.
Yeah, that's so.
And I'll play games like that to help even out.
I think you'd actually find that if you did early pressure with Dark Templar and a warp prism, so basically one base play where you tech to Dark Templar and Warp Prism, and you do early pressure that way and expand while you're doing it, I think you're going to win like a ton of games. But in any case, number 9, don't be afraid to make a couple High Templar, just maybe 3, and I think you'll be amazed at how easy it is to use Storm and how much it helps. Make sure you use that shift so that you can use Storm, all at once.
And number 10, always remember to saturate all of your gases if you plan on going late game. I actually noticed that in some games you only got two of your gases, and then sometimes you would only saturate one of them. And basically, if you're only going for two gases, you want to be doing a two base all in. But since I'm actually going into the late game more often, I would strongly advise you to get all of your gases just so that you can have that extra gas income to support
Yeah.
your units.
Yeah, and since you tend to have extra minerals anyways, it's better to be banking gas than it is minerals because gas is very easy to spend. Minerals is a little harder. So.
Yep, yep. And crucifix number 11.
Oh, well, if you have any suggestions or any recommendations, or if you liked today's coaching session, I don't know if you found us just through the clan or if you did it through Nerd Upgrades, but a review on Nerd Upgrades would help us out to continue to do our coaching as often as we can.
Yep, yep.
Groovy.
Okay, well that was a long one, but I'm glad that we were able to give you as much coaching as we could.
Yep, yep.
I
Once
got
again,
another
yeah.
session set up for like another 5 or 6 days. I'll throw some more replays on there. So
Oh,
ignore the ones that are on there now.
Oh, okay.
I'll try to practice these things you guys gave me.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Just apply what we said. Play a bunch of games. Find some replays that you want in the near future, and then just make sure to tell us which ones, because in case we're confused between the ones that are already up there and stuff like that.
Will do.
Okay, sounds great, bro.
Once again, my name is Sharp Eyes,
And I am Crucifix.
and that is
WeCast, and that's Dyshar. That is. So I do that every time.
I will change my name, so next time it'll be okay.
Yeah, make sure your name is Oho WeCast. That'd be great.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So until next time,
Keep on playing.
keep on playing.
Thanks, guys.
Indeed.
Peace.